Welcome to the Uncommonly Peculiar podcast, the number one space for cultivating truth, love, and transparency with your girl, A Voice and an Influence. Welcome back, all of my listeners, all of the new listeners. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for tuning in every week. Truly appreciate you. Today is episode 4. I'm super excited about this episode because I have an amazing guest here today. And I want to remind all of the listeners that the purpose of this podcast is to bridge the gap between authenticity and humanity. And my guest today is definitely an authentic person. And I'm super excited for having him on. Welcome, James.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. How are you feeling today?
I feel blessed. One of our family members got baptized this morning, so it was great.
Praise God.
That's right.
That is so
Feel
amazing.
good. Feel good.
Yes, definitely. Like me too. I'm always excited every time I get the opportunity to record this podcast because it's just one of those vehicles of being able to spread the goodness of God, to be able to spread positivity into the world, and also to create like just a safe space for people to be their authentic self and to welcome people, in this space to understand that no matter where you come from, no matter what you go through, you are always valuable. You're always important and you matter. You matter, right?
You matter too.
Yeah. Oh, thank
You guys all matter.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself, James.
Well, I am the owner of CTC, which stands for Change the Conversation.
Yes.
We teach people about faith, finances, and the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm from the Bay Area, but originally born out in LA.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my parents are actually from out that way. We moved out here when we were, I want to say middle school. And since then, we've just been chugging along and being cool.
Yes, come on. Being cool is important,
Yes,
right?
being cool is important.
Being cool is important because there's so much stuff that goes on in life that can kind of just taint your spirit, right? It can kind of throw you off of who you are, right? It kind of puts you in a space where, like, I think we were talking about this earlier on, where, you become socially awkward, right?
Yeah.
Not wanting to, be in proximity with other people, and especially other people who look like you, right? You see so much, like, I would say, challenges and a lot of tension amongst, people of color, right? And it's important to kind of, shine a light on that because we're in a new space, I feel like, a new era where it matters that people come together, of all walks of life. And so it's important to make sure that we are able to deal with ourselves and be able to, like, not shut ourselves out, right? And not, not want to go commune with other people, right?
Yeah.
I have a couple questions that I want to get into, right? But I always like to, just open up the conversation with talking about a little bit about, like, humanity, right? And so I think we kind of already touched on that when we talk about just, being able to get amongst other people and being kind to one another, right? So I want to open up and ask you, like, do you feel that there is this, like, tension going around that is causing people not to be able to be kind? Like, humanity is being tested right now.
For me, I always say your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So it just depends on who you're in proximity to. It's the glass half full versus the glass half empty kind of mentality. So whatever you focus on is what you will project into the world. Right. And if you're around a bunch of negative people, you'll think that the world's on fire.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's I like to call kind of like a woe is me mentality. It's always my boss's fault or my wife's fault or my husband's fault or the taxes' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the Republicans' fault.
Yeah.
And most people don't just look in the mirror and say, you know what can I do to be a better person?
Yes.
And if you can look in the mirror and just be honest with yourself at where you are at this point, you can make radical changes in your life and your circle.
Yes.
And we're a living testament to that.
Yes. Yes, I definitely agree. It's all about you and how you feel and what you're projecting out into the
Mhm.
universe. And if you project positivity, then you'll begin to attract
Get it back.
positivity,
Yeah.
right? So that's what James is saying here today on the Uncommonly Peculiar podcast, okay? That if you're having issues, okay, with isolation, or
Mhm.
you're having issues not being able to, let's say, commune with other people,
Yeah.
okay, or you're attracting a lot of toxicity, okay,
Mhm.
you may need to look into the mirror and
Mhm.
you may need to kind of clean some things up,
Yeah.
right? So that you can attract more people who are deserving of you,
Yeah,
right?
and get out your comfort zone.
Oh,
Too
that's it.
many people,
Yeah.
they're looking for all the magic inside their comfort zone, and
Mhm.
you have what you have because of the person you are.
Mhm.
So it would stand to reason all the things that you don't have are outside of that comfort zone that you're not willing
Mm.
to leave.
Mm.
So most people look for all the magic here,
Mhm.
and usually you're not going to find $1 million in your house.
Yeah.
You're not going to find the miracle on your bed.
Mhm.
You're going to find it outside as you go and start to seek and become uncomfortable on the
Mhm.
journey,
Yeah.
but you become stronger. It
Yeah.
doesn't get easier, you just get
Yeah.
stronger. The weights just
Yeah.
get a little bit lighter for you to carry them mentally.
Mhm.
And too many people that we come across, they just want to kind of get hand fed,
Mhm.
and they think that their dreams and all the miracles are just going to kind of show up at their house.
Mhm.
And that's just not how it works.
Yeah, faith without works is
Faith
dead.
without works is dead.
Yeah, and then also taking that lid off
Mhm.
of, the jar so that you can experience things that are trying to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that are trying to come
Yeah,
in.
you're
Yeah.
keeping your blessings from the gates.
Keeping your
Yeah.
blessings from
And
the gate.
men are notorious for this. We live like this with
Mhm.
our mind closed off. And if
Mhm.
God wants to hand you something, can he hand you something if your hand is like this?
Mhm.
You have to be like this.
Yeah.
He can hand it to you
Mhm.
so you can receive it.
Yeah.
If you try to hand me something in my hands like this, I can't receive it at all.
Yeah.
So we'll see something that makes us uncomfortable and we'll
Mhm.
keep it way back there,
Mhm.
and it's not even able to come close enough for us to even see what we're rejecting.
Mhm.
And if that happens, you
Mhm.
end up keeping a lot of blessings from your gates.
Yeah.
Even the things that could have just changed your entire life, could change your
Yeah.
family's life, could change your kids' lives.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. Because you know what I see? Like James said, he said men, right? No, I mean,
it's
it's women who are
yeah.
like that too, right? But
Yeah.
I think one of the things is what I've noticed,
Mhm.
right? I'll speak from personal experience. What I've noticed when it comes to men or even women too
Mhm.
is that it has a lot to do with that vulnerability, right? Needing to be open, right?
Mhm.
But in doing so, like we said, when you look in the mirror and you get honest with yourself, it opens up that door of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because being honest with yourself, a lot of times it's taking accountability, right? Just because someone hurt you, you still played a part because you end up hurt.
Mhm.
So it's that piece of, okay, recognizing, okay, what is the issue and what am I suppressing that I don't want to allow to come to the surface that's keeping me in bondage, right?
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's what happens. It keeps you in bondage. And when you're in bondage, it's like you're fearful because you don't want people to see you. You don't want
Mhm.
people to know the real you. You don't want people to know that you've been hurt,
Yeah.
right? But also as you heal from that, then you get to a place of strength and you're able to say, you know what? That did hurt me, but this is what I learned from it, right?
Yeah.
And then you open up the door, as you said, to those blessings that God wants to impart to you,
Mhm.
in those moments. But he can't do it if your fist is closed. He can't do it if you won't go outside.
Yeah.
He can't do it if you're not open to meet new people. And also if you're not kind to people, right? This humanity thing. Like this
Yeah.
thing is so important to me because I really believe like being authentic and humanity are so interconnected because when you're authentic, right, you have to be able to be like, you hurt me.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You got to be able, you have to have courage enough to tell someone, right, that you hurt me. And in doing that, right, you can do it in a kind way, but sometimes it may not always come out kind.
Yeah.
Right. And so it gets a little tricky in those situations, right?
Yeah. It's all about heart posture.
Mm.
Why are you saying this? Are you saying this to make yourself feel better? Are you saying this to genuinely help this person?
That's good.
Because you see that they need to be course corrected.
Course
Similar to
corrected.
children, right? If you have a child and you know that they're eating tons and tons of candy, and my wife will attest to this because I eat way too much candy.
Oh, Lord.
But if they're doing something that you know is detrimental to their development and their growth,
Mhm.
correcting them from their perspective looks like, oh, you're being mean to me.
That's good.
Why are you doing this to me?
Yes, come on.
I want to run in the street.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Yes.
They don't see what you see.
Yes.
They don't see the angle that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So even though in that moment, it seems to them that you are being unreasonable,
yes,
you know your heart posture is in the right place.
Right.
And if you approach your relationships that way,
mm-hmm.
you'll at least nip it in the bud.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of us, oh my God, I heard a great quote. Don't be surprised when you trip over the rug, you keep sweeping everything under.
Mm.
Right?
Come
so
on,
if somebody keeps disrespecting you and you just keep letting it slide, let it slide, let it slide, let it slide,
mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden it explodes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what is, and then it snowballs into something random, like you drank all the juice and the orange in the refrigerator. And you're like, what? And it was really 2 years ago, they've been doing this one particular behavior that you cannot stand, that you haven't spoken up about. And it just, if you nip it in the bud, you can handle it right then and there. And they know that, okay, this is not acceptable behavior when you're around me.
Yeah.
So with my team, I tell anybody that comes to my house, I'm kind of like Martin. If anybody has ever seen Martin, don't disrespect my house. If you're around me, don't burp out loud, don't fart, don't just act like you're having dinner with Obama.
Oh my
right?
Goodness.
Because it's a respect thing for me.
Okay.
Right? Because if you're sitting in a job interview, is that how you're acting? No. Right? And for me, it shows lack of discipline. Right? Because you don't I'm not saying we don't burp. I'm not saying you don't do these certain things, but why do you have
Yeah. It's kind of tasteless. Yeah.
Kind of tasteless.
I
kind of lack of discipline. I'm not saying
yeah.
you don't do it. We're all human.
Yeah.
But it's the manner and how you're presenting yourself.
Yeah. Respect too.
Respect. Because those types of mannerisms will cost you dearly down the line. And then what are you teaching your kids? You wonder why your kids act like this. Well, what do you act like? Right? What are you teaching them? What are you an example of? And so I like to nip that stuff in the bud for my team and my business, just because I say, I know down the line, this is going to help you. Yeah. I might sound crazy right now, but down the line, when you're having dinner with a millionaire trying to close a deal and you do, instead of, and
big difference.
Much bigger.
Big difference. It shows respect too. Yeah. And also too, you have to think about it from the other perspective. When you allow things to kind of fester and go on, you become a willing participant in it as well. So that's why I always speak about accountability.
Yes.
Right? You have to hold yourself accountable. The Bible says before you can get the speck out of someone else's eye, you have to first get the speck out of your eye.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you will know how to get the speck out of someone else's eye. So a lot of times, in life, and when we're talking about humanity, it is about, like you said, your heart posture, but also treating people, the simple thing we learned in like kindergarten, treating people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, the
right?
golden rule.
Yeah, it's, and I'm always harboring on this, that people do not take like the word of God literal. They don't take it literal. Like he said what he said. He said, I came so that you may have life and you may experience it abundantly. So if you're not experiencing life abundantly, then what part are you playing in that? Right? What part are you playing in that? Yeah, it's that accountability. But I believe in taking accountability. This is where our humanity comes in at. This is where our authenticity comes in at, right? Yeah. And so I do want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
And start talking about some of the questions that I have here. So the first question is surrounding authenticity. Okay. So how has your authenticity been challenged? And it's a twofold question. And do you consider yourself being an authentic person?
100%.
Okay.
Character is very, very big for me in business and anything that we do. Definitely had what I thought was my authentic self challenged because I used to be, I'm still a singer-songwriter, but I was, in the world. I never made booty shaking music. Nothing wrong with that. By the way, I'm just saying, that was never my bag, right? I never was like a hood rapper, yada, 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 right? Okay. I'm more like Bruno Mars, right? So hip hop, funk. And when we got into business, because we've been entrepreneurs for 7 years, we haven't had a job in a while.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. I thought that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Like it was my plan, not God's plan.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're trying to enforce our will on God,
Ooh.
it never goes right.
He gonna get you right all the time.
You can't hear what God is going to say when you already think you know. Right? You can't hear what he's going to say when you already, he's going to tell me this. You're not even listening. You can't even receive it. Mm-hmm. So for many, many years, I was telling God what I was going to do. Right? Like, I'm trying to push this thing as far as it can go. I know it's your plan. Keep in mind, I wasn't even checking in with him.
Wow, I know it's your plan.
I wasn't. I don't need to pray. I know what you got. I know what you're going to say. It's fine, right? And as soon as I took a step back and started moving away from my passion and into my purpose, everything started to click. So the difference between passion and purpose is they're worlds away. Many people I talk to tell me, I just haven't found what I like, what I'm passionate about. Mm-hmm. And I always say passion is selfish. Your passion is for you. That's why people say, it's my passion. It's my passion.
Yeah.
Your purpose is for everyone.
Yeah.
Your purpose can touch the world. Mm-hmm. And the beautiful thing about moving in your purpose is when you're moving in your purpose, you will eventually become passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most people are just looking for self-fulfillment. Mm-hmm. They're not really looking to help anybody else. They're looking to help themselves. And that's why it's so hard for them to feel fulfilled about, their life and kind of things that they're doing. Mm-hmm. So I used to think that I was doing my authentic self. Now I truly feel like I am in my authentic self.
Awesome.
Right. At this point.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful. It's so interesting too, because like for me, I'm definitely walking in my purpose now currently. I can tell because of the peace that I have. And the diligence and also the understanding of my relationship with God. Yeah. But I've always been passionate about helping people. Right. So my whole thing was I want to help people. Right. But in doing that, it also was a bit self-fulfilling as well, because it's about me. I want to help people.
Yeah. Heart posture.
Yeah, I want to help people, right? But when I'm walking in my purpose, okay, and that is helping people from a selfless place, okay, because I am called to do it, because I have the desire to do it, but also because I've yielded my will to the ultimate source, which is God, right? Because I've yielded to him, I had to check in with him. Okay, so it's not, you can't, because I was a bit gullible, right? Because I'm thinking I can help everybody.
Oh, you can't.
And you cannot help everybody.
Oh, you cannot.
And it wasn't until I realized that I had some gullibleness inside of me, because I'm this big heart, always want to help people, want to do this, want to do that. And it's like, okay, people can pretend, you have to have discernment.
Yes.
You have to be in tune with God, and you have to stay in that covering.
Yeah.
You have to stay in the gates.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a reason why it's a gate around you. Okay. It's for your protection. And someone will need to go to the Father in order for you to be like in partnership, in order for you to be in relationship with that person. You can't just be helping everyone.
Yeah.
I had to learn that. And because walking with God is, when you're talking about walking that narrow path, like it's very narrow.
Yeah.
Come on, right?
The wrong person will drag you all the way down.
Off that path. You'd be right over there in the world.
And it's much easier. If I was to stand on this table, right? And it's harder for me to pull you up than it is for you to pull me down.
So true.
It's way easier to pull someone down than for you to stand here and pull them up to where you're at. And many times we're trying to pull people up. They don't even want to pull themselves up.
Come on.
And we have to be okay. And I have this conversation many, many times with people in our team, people, and we call ourselves a family. You have to be okay with them wanting to be where they are at.
Yes.
You see more for them. That's beautiful. But they have to see more for them. You cannot change somebody's mind for them. You can present information and they can take the information and change their own minds. But you cannot save everybody. You can go faster with 100 that want to go than with one around your neck.
Yeah.
Because they'll drag you down, and now they're poisoning the well.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be okay with them not wanting to be superstars.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with them wanting to work wherever they work for 30, 40, 50 years and not owning anything. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And many times we were trying to impose our will on others around us and say, I see more for you. We should do this. We can change the world. And they're like, I just want to work and watch Netflix.
Yeah.
And you've got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And
you
that's
definitely have to
hard.
be okay with that, because what I can tell you about this journey is that if you stop building capacity, you are going to drown. Okay? The Red Sea will be parted and you will be on the opposite side.
Yep.
Because capacity is key. People think when you begin to walk with the Lord that this is a ticket for everything to go right in your life.
No. Not even close.
Right? This is when everything goes wrong, right? But from the world's perspective,
yes,
it's wrong.
Yes.
But from God's perspective, it's creating an avenue for you to overcome adversity, for you to persevere, and also gain capacity. Because as you embark on this journey, you're going to come up against sharks.
Yes.
You're going to come up against wolves in sheep clothing.
Yes.
It's so many people along this path. It's a narrow path. And you think, oh, it's kind of like the, what's that movie?
What?
The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're on that yellow brick road, right? They're on the road and everybody's coming on that road.
Yeah.
Right? It took her so long to get home.
Yeah.
because there are going to be people along this path. And the key is how you respond.
Yes.
How you use the opportunity, because the Bible says that the wealth, the wealth of the righteous is stored away with the wicked. Right? So you're going to come across people who got your money, who are wolves. Let's talk about it, right?
Yeah.
They wolves and they got your money, right?
Yeah.
How you handle them.
Yes.
How you handle them.
Yes.
Because the key is that God is trying to get you to open up the door for them by your heart's posture.
Yeah.
He's going to do all the work.
Yeah.
But you opened up the door for them, how you treated them.
Yeah.
And now they can't say, oh, he's evil. Oh, he's just trying to manipulate me. Oh, they can't, because what you've presented is nothing but love.
Yeah.
And so now they're forced. Their hand is forced.
Yeah.
So it's really about this journey of just growth, love.
Yeah.
This is a it's
some people are put here just to witness the miracle that God is performing through you.
Ooh.
They're not necessarily here to be their own miracles. They don't want to walk out on the water.
Wow.
But they do see what God's doing through you. And hopefully through them seeing that, they come to him.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And in life, you need an anchor and you need a lighthouse. Your anchor is when someone comes around and they try to get you off the yellow brick road, right, that God's trying to put you on. If you're not anchored, it's very easy to tip you over.
True.
Right? But you also need a lighthouse because you need to have a goal you're reaching towards.
Yeah.
And most people, if you just have an anchor, it's not going to work because you don't move. You're just here. You don't go tell anyone, you're just kind of here. If you just have a lighthouse, you're running really fast. You're here until someone tips you. And then it doesn't work. So when life throws storms at you, you got to be anchored down.
Yes,
so as the storm goes past, you got to still look towards the lighthouse. And if you have both, you'll be able to weather the storms of life and go through the negativity that kind of comes with all of this stuff. Like you said, when people start walking with Christ, they think that it's just sunshine and rainbows and kumbaya and there's no issues. That's not how any of this stuff works. But you have to have faith in your God-given abilities that you can do this.
Yes.
And when we started, again, just I can kind of go back to being in entrepreneurship. When they asked me, like, why did you have so much faith? I didn't have faith in me. I had faith in God. Right?
Wow.
I have faith in God that he has big things in store for my bloodline. And I'm willing to do the work with the tools that he gave me. So when they ask me what you're willing to do, if you see that mountain, that's where we're climbing, you're going to find me at the top or dead on the side. because I'm not coming back.
Hmm.
I'm not coming back to the village,
Mhm.
right? So you're going to find me dead on the side or somewhere at the top. And I will die for this. I will die for my family. I will die for my bloodline. I will die for my kids, and my family members that we've collected.
Commitment.
You have to have commitment.
Yes. Yes.
You got to be willing to go drag your body across broken glass to do this.
Whew.
It's the only way. What are you willing to sacrifice to get to the things you say you want in life?
Wow.
Most people are like, oh, well, I'll give up a Saturday. Right? I'm like, what about 10 years?
Whew. Come on.
What about, hey, I can't go to the kids' basketball game, but I can't go because I'm building a life for us so that when I walk away from this, I can hand them a company so that they don't have to work for 30 years for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people don't want to sacrifice. They just want to gain. Same with, a lot of people, when they pray, they just pray for things.
Yeah.
They don't thank him for anything. They just pray for more stuff. What about your car? Well, I want a new one. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Right? What about the roof over your head? We go to the Philippines every 3 years. We go to the Philippines. And the first time I went there, it was such a culture shock.
Wow.
Because you got kids over there, no running water, no shoes. I'm talking about real poverty. So when I come back to the States, and I'm not saying that we don't have that here. We do have poverty here, right?
Right.
But it was such a big gap on some people that I saw that literally could have gotten themselves out of certain situations, but they don't want to do the work. Mm-hmm. They don't want to do the work. They want God to do the work. They want to pray their way to financial freedom.
Yeah.
And that's just not how it works.
No, it's not. Faith without works is dead, for sure. You touched on something that was very profound, like in terms of like weathering the storm. Mm-hmm. I think also, like for me, one of the things a lesson that I've learned is that you have to be like prepared, not necessarily, I won't say prepared, but aware. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. You have to be self-aware that on this journey, there are going to be storms.
Oh, yeah.
Right? One of the things that got me to surrender to God was that I got to a point in my life where I realized, like, regardless to what trajectory or what path you're on, you're going to incur challenges. Mm-hmm. So do you want to have challenges and you're not going to reach your ultimate destination? Or do you want to have challenges and you're working towards reaching your destination? Mm-hmm. And it's like, if I'm going to go through something, if I'm going to fight, I might as well fight for what's right. Yeah. I might as well fight for my purpose. Yeah. I might as well fight for what God said I can have versus be fighting for something that I'm not even sure if it's for me or not, right? And so you have to get to a point in this walk where you realize, like, okay, I'm going to have challenges, but because I'm anchored, right? Because I'm anchored in the word of God, because I believe the word of God, right? Then I know that this is going to work out for my good.
Yeah.
Like that's so important in this life, because you are going to experience setbacks sometimes.
Avoiding suffering is not the goal. We're all going to suffer. It's going to happen. Someone you know is going to pass. Something's going to happen that's not fair.
Right.
It's to avoid pointless suffering.
That's it. Yeah. That's
the distinction.
Suffering. That was the distinction.
Right?
Exactly.
Because you say, okay, if pain is what it's going to take for me to be great, let me suffer. But at least, like you said, I'm working towards something.
Yeah, exactly.
The issue comes when you're walking day in and day out, suffering regardless, and there is no star in the sky. There's nothing there for you.
Right.
And you're sleepwalking through life. And by default, you're teaching your children to sleepwalk through life. And that's when everything just kind of collapses on itself, because eventually the house will burn down.
Yeah.
Something will just trigger it. And then you're just like, I don't know why it's like this. How could this not happen? And whenever I talk to anybody about any of these things, and I'm not a parent yet, we have 3 dogs. It's not the same. I know. No one come for me.
3 dogs. That's a lot of dogs.
Right?
That's a lot.
But we want our kids to be courageous, but we're scared. We want
Right.
them to be
Come on.
owners,
Come on.
but we work for somebody.
Come on.
We want them to take all the risks and go out there and try, and we watch Netflix all day.
Yeah.
And then when we blink and we're 60, 70 years old,
Come on.
which will happen because time flies, it never lands,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
We're wondering why our kids aren't these amazing people. Who was the example?
Come on.
Who are they supposed to look to for this stuff? Some guy
Come on.
on TikTok? Some guy on YouTube?
You know what? I think that's a lot of people's default.
Yeah.
At this
They look to mom and dad. They say, because you are an example of what life is supposed to look like as far as they're concerned.
Right. No, for sure.
They're within that proximity. What are you teaching them?
Mhm.
When are you going to realize, well, we have to do something different if we're going to break any of these bonds.
Right.
We have to break these
Yeah.
chains.
Yeah.
Breaking chains, fun fact, isn't fun. It sucks.
Come on. Come
Your
on.
parents look at you like you're crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Your family looks at you like, well, who is this person
You
that's
become
showing
the
up?
outcast.
Oh, you're the outcast.
For sure.
And you have to be okay with being the outcast.
Come on. That's it right there. You
That's-
got to be okay with it.
In the Bible,
Come
it
on.
says Jesus wasn't even welcomed by his own town.
Yeah.
Because they said, wait, isn't that, he's the carpenter's son.
Mhm.
Why would we listen to him?
Yeah.
Right?
He's
So
without respect, without any regard.
you
Yeah.
just have to be okay with it coming from the inside, because the attacks come from the inside.
That's so good.
And there's oh my gosh, there's a quote. I hope I can remember it right. When the axe came into the forest, the trees whispered, "The handle is one of us."
Mm.
Right?
Mhm.
So the axe handle is made from a tree,
Mhm.
and the axe comes to cut the rest of the trees down.
Yeah.
So usually the attacks come from within. It's
Yeah.
family, it's the people that are closest to you.
Yeah.
You can build faster with, call it what it is, and this is why so many people it's so hard to build something as far as entrepreneurship when you're getting into this, things that you're trying to learn
Mhm.
from people who don't know you,
Yeah, for sure.
because they have no preconceived notion of who you're supposed to be.
Mm.
Your family looks at you and says, "That's why would you listen to her?" They go through the list of who you used to be,
Yeah, yeah.
which is why you can't become something better.
Mhm.
When someone's coming from the outside in,
Mhm.
they have no judgments of who you are.
Mhm.
They're taking you at face value, and there's power in that.
Mhm.
We have over 220 people in 19 different states that are part of our organization.
Mhm.
Guess how many are family members?
Probably none.
Like 4.
Oh, well, y'all
I
blessed
still
with
love
4.
you guys,
Blessed with 4.
right?
Yeah.
But
You be
support
lucky.
really comes from people who don't know you.
True.
You know, your family does not put you on the stage.
Mm-mm.
They clap when you're up there.
Come on.
They're,
And while you was trying to
yeah,
get to the
that's
stage,
us up
they
there.
were trying to tear you down.
I said, how many of y'all do business with me?
Mm-hmm.
I still love you guys. I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
how the mindset is.
Yeah.
And
sure.
you got to be okay with striking out and being
Mhm.
uncomfortable and building with people that are in the same frame as you.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, God has blessed us enough to be able to reach people who are states away, who believe in what we do, right? Who we can
Mhm.
help change their financial situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just blessed to be here and be a conduit for what God has planned for us.
Yeah, for sure. And, that's why it's so important to do that internal work on yourself,
Mhm.
because this journey, you have to live it from the inside out,
Yes.
not the outside in.
Yes.
Okay. Like, society is going to clap for everything external. They're
Mhm.
going to clap for everything that they can see. They want to see the material things. They want to see the cars and the money and, those things that are accustomed to, let's say, trends,
Mhm.
right? Those are the things that's getting the claps, right? But when you are walking this journey of reaching the highest expression of yourself and being authentic, it's going to really require for you to clean up what has happened to you when you were a child, those evil things that was probably spoken to you, some of the challenges that you had to endure, because as you are going to the stage, right, there are going to be family members. There are going to be people who's going to point out those little flaws in you. They're going to point at them. But when you've healed them and you've done the work, okay, behind closed doors, because I always tell people you are who you are when no one's looking. That's who you really are, right? But if you've done that work on the internal, on those things on the inside,
Yes.
when they point it out, you'll be like, Yeah, I did go through that.
Mhm.
Let me tell you what I've learned from that.
That's it.
Let me help someone else who may be going through that so that they can understand that they're on the right track. When you look inwardly, you are on the right track.
Yes.
You are on the path of greatness when you look inwardly. Okay? Because that's what God is going to use. He wants you to clean everything up that's on the inside so that the God in you can rise.
Yes.
The God in you cannot rise if there is sin. Okay. If there is anything that's trying to operate fear in your life, false evidence appearing real,
Yes.
then it's going to keep you in bondage. And
Yes.
that is what the enemy wants. He wants you to stay in darkness.
Yes.
But God came so you can have life and so you can have it abundantly. So this whole, facade of trying to hide, right?
Yeah.
Trying to hide. No, we got to get out there.
Yeah.
We got to get to a point where we say, you know what, this is me and this is who I am,
Yeah.
right? But in doing that, you get the capacity to take accountability for your actions because you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to, it's going to be people that's going to come in your life to be able to speak into your life.
Yes.
Get you to be more who God see that you can be.
Yeah.
Right? And you got to have space for that. So that's why you start with cleaning up everything that, like we talked about in the beginning of this podcast, looking in that mirror.
Yeah.
Dealing with those demons, okay? Because it's a duality out here. There is good, there is evil, right? And it's all about balance.
Yeah.
How do you balance that, right? So that brings me to my next question. Like, how does your authenticity connect to your relationship with God?
Oh, all the way through. It runs all the way through. It connects to every single thing that we do.
Yeah.
Even the people that we know who have started with us strictly in business and then have ended up like today, Christine, love you. Tony, love you. Getting baptized.
Yeah.
It wasn't because we were shoving God down their throat.
Wow.
We are supposed to be a shining example of what God can do, right? Good and bad. And through looking at us, just seeing us, they are naturally drawn to there's something about them.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? What is the thing? Are you meditating? Is it crystals? What's your sign? Right?
I can see the
I'm
light.
like, my sign is the cross.
Come on, Jesus.
Right?
Yes.
And through us having a light touch, it's always with us, it's always a light touch. It's always out of love. We tell our team, if you're not going to show up, don't show up at all. We have been able to bring people into the kingdom through just love and a light touch.
Wow.
Not you're going to hell and you need to do this and that's bad. It's just, this is how we choose to live. If that resonates with you and you want to know why you see this light that we seem to have, it's just God shining through us. It's not us. We are not the light.
Right.
It's God shining through us. And this is what our testimony is. So, faith and fear both require you to believe in something you can't see.
Faith and fear.
It's up to you to choose.
Yeah, that's
which one you want to believe in.
Your will.
And usually fear is not going to lead you. Actually, all the time, fear is not going to lead you to where you want to be at.
No.
Another one I say is God moves through your gut, the devil moves through your head. Usually when your gut tells you to do something, it's usually the right thing to do. Because it's just something in your bones. And you're like, your toes are like, this feels right. But if you wait too long, the devil gets in your head and starts to talk you out of your blessings. And, what if you fail? What if you fail? What if this happens? What if this happens? In my, from my standpoint, God doesn't move in negatives. He's never, I don't think we can pull it off. Never in the Bible will you find God saying, I don't think we can do that. From a faith standpoint. And usually we're moving from a place of fear, which is why a lot of people don't move on things that could really, really be beneficial to not only them, but their families. And we made a decision a long time ago. We're not going to move in fear when it comes to anything. If we believe we can do this, and again, it's not us. If we believe in God and God can literally do anything. So why do you think you can do that? Well, one, I know I can become a millionaire because my mentor is a millionaire, but also I'm not trying to become a Pokemon.
Pokemon.
There's no Pokemon in the world.
No
Like
Pokemon.
I'm trying to do something I've already seen can be accomplished. So when people are projecting
Yeah,
their version of your life onto you, which is crazy, you gotta stop them right there and just say, that's good for you that's what you think I'm capable of, but God has he has more planned for me. God has more planned for all of us if we walk out on the water.
For sure.
Most people don't want to walk out on the water. They want to stay on the boat.
Yeah. So I want to go back to that whole thing because it resonates with me in terms of vulnerability, right? And we were talking about males, right? And their inability to be vulnerable, right? What do you think is like causing a lot of males from being vulnerable? Because especially like, you're married in a successful marriage, with women, women, we were very talkative, right? Very emotional at times, right? And it requires a lot of times for men to be open and be vulnerable in order to be able to receive, right, from women. And so what do you think is like the biggest barrier that causes that friction amongst, just male and women being able to have like that camaraderie, right?
I think there's a line. When it comes to men, many times it's a pride thing. It's a control thing.
Yeah.
It's this is my house. This is how it works. I don't want anything to shake up what I feel is fine. Even if they know it's really not fine. And again, the issue with that is you're keeping a lot of blessings from your family.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the women pull this is just the way he is card.
Yeah.
And then it's this through line of no one addressing real problems.
Oh, that's good.
And it again, it snowballs.
Yeah, we see that in generations to
generations. It's generation to generation to generation. My uncle was like this.
Right, exactly.
My grandpa was like this. My mother was like this. My dad was like this. Okay, well, you don't get to choose how you start, but you can choose how you finish.
That's good, yeah.
No one gets to choose where they're born, what ethnicity they're, however in the world, you can choose what you decide to do from that point on once you look in the mirror and realize you have an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It's kind of like what is it? The step plan, or when you're, what is it? When you're in, what's it called? When you're drinking, have you drinking issues? What is it called?
Are you talking about
rehab? Is it rehab?
No, got me not remembering what it's called.
Yeah, like
I know what you're talking about.
The first step is
the AIDS.
There we go.
Yeah, the AIDS. Yeah,
you have to first. You have to admit you have an issue, and most men won't admit that they have a problem. And this is me. I've talked to other men. I talk to women. We're also not taught to talk. We're taught to keep things in.
That's it.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. There is a fine line between a man, just being he's just complaining about things versus him just saying like, okay, let me just get this out so I can go to work, because we are called to be providers.
Right.
Right. But we don't really, in the world, we don't talk things out. Okay. If you're, your son falls over, hey man, chill. It's fine. Right. Don't cry. And you bleed that over into him being 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years old. And he's used to never talking about anything.
Right.
So that when you bring him something and say, hey, I really want to talk about this, he genuinely does not know how.
Right.
He has never been taught that skill. Right. He's taught to go work really, really hard and bring home the bacon. And emotionally, he stopped developing when he was 14 or 15 years old.
Wow.
And that makes a very hard line when you get two of the sexes together.
Right.
When you've been talking since you were 3 years old.
Come on, expressing everything.
When a little girl is,
yes.
What do you want to say? Oh yeah, tell us about your feelings.
Right.
Let us know how you do. Right. All the way since you were 3. You were watching Disney and they're all talking, singing their feelings. Right. And you're like, yeah, we're supposed to do it this way.
So true.
The boys are like, I'm not doing that stuff.
Right.
I'm not doing any of that. So you're taught to be more emotionally available and intellectually available. And he's not really taught that skill.
Right.
And then he just shoves it in a box
Right.
and it's just this. Then he puts a lid and says, "That's the way I am."